I'm Paul Edwards. I'm the author of the Mourner's Woods book series, and first and foremost, a monster kid. Today I'm talking about why the Mummy lost when he fought Frankenstein in 2015. In case you don't know, this is part of a running joke I've got going. My friend Jessica Lewis competed on the TV show Survivor years ago, and because she competed on the show, she now co-hosts a podcast called Why Blank Lost, where she and her co-host talk about the reason why reality TV stars lost on that particular week's episode. So a while back, I thought it would be funny if I did a Why Blank Lost Monster Edition video, because monster fans are forever having debates about, which monster would win in a fight and why. And although Jessica watches my channel sometimes, she didn't see the video and it went completely past her. So I made another one and another. And now it's a running gag, and we're going to see how many Why Blank Lost Monster Edition videos I can get away with until finally she texts me one day and says, "Paul, those videos aren't funny. Stop it." So until then, let's talk about why the Mummy lost. Okay. If you haven't seen Frankenstein versus the Mummy, which almost no one has, the story is pretty straightforward. Victor Frankenstein is a young college professor. He works teaching classes by day on the campus, and at night he's got a secret lab set up in a disused part of the campus where he's building his monster. He's romantically involved with a woman who is in the history department. She's a professor in the history department, and her area of expertise is ancient Egypt. In fact, she and her archaeology team have recently brought a mummy back to study here on campus. And as you can probably predict, during the Mummy storyline, the mummy is accidentally revived by supernatural means. And in the Frankenstein storyline, a hodgepodge monster is created and given the brain of a violent street criminal. Then it's time for the big face-off, Frankenstein versus the Mummy. Okay. Both of these incarnations of the monsters have super strength. They both can throw human beings around easily. And they can throw each other around too. Neither monster is portrayed the way that they are in the Universal films. The Frankenstein monster is not slow and clunky and uncoordinated. He's agile, he's limber, and he can move pretty fast. The Mummy is not the slow, shambling Hulk that Lon Chaney Jr. portrayed him as. In this version, the Mummy is reasonably fast, although not quite as fast as the Frankenstein monster. So the fight begins. At first, it seems that these two are pretty evenly matched, and they do get sort of a knockdown, drag-out brawl with plenty of punches exchanged on both sides. But before too long, it becomes clear that the Frankenstein monster is a much better fighter, and he's able to block and outmaneuver the Mummy. And finally, he is able to get the Mummy to expose his chest without his arms blocking, and the Frankenstein monster smashes his hand into the Mummy and pulls out its still beating heart, and the Mummy collapses to its knees, and then the Frankenstein monster smashes its head to dust. So Frankenstein wins. But why did the Mummy lose? Well, I think the answer is pretty clear. The Mummy hasn't been in the fight for 3,000 years. The Frankenstein monster has the brain of a violent street criminal who, just 6 hours ago, was still in his own body, living his life as a hoodlum, as a street thug. So he's not out of practice in fighting. The Mummy is dramatically out of practice. And, I'm sure that living in the ancient world, the Mummy probably did have some skills in personal combat at some point. But if he hasn't been in a fight in 3,000 years, you can't expect him to have his skills honed. You have to figure that he's gotten rusty. Whereas the Frankenstein monster is, because his brain is from a person who just recently was alive, the Frankenstein monster is ready to get into a scrap at any time. So the answer to the question, why the mummy lost, is that practice matters. Practice, practice, practice. And the mummy was out of practice. Strength is good, skill is good, but neither of those is a substitute for regular and consistent training, which the mummy just didn't have. And that is why the mummy lost. Hey, listen, thanks for helping me to play a prank on my friend and continue the prank. And if you have any suggestions for a why blank lost monster edition video, please let me know, and I'll be happy to look into them. Thanks a lot for spending some time talking with me about why the mummy lost. I'll see you in Warner's Woods.